what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate forum to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Massive shout out to all of my Patrons, as I am indeed very grateful for all of your support. Now, we're currently in the interim stages between two debates, so I'm going to pass over to the live panel so they can keep you entertained while I set up for the next live show.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just had something quick. So here in Michigan, we have one of the worst winters we've had in a while. I'm in Western Michigan, and I thought it was funny. There's proof of Earth wobble. Apparently, NASA says that global climate change is causing the Earth to wobble more on its axis. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Oh shit, things are spinning out of control.
Yeah.
While we're talking about NASA, what's funny is I was going to share something from the NASA site of what gravity is. It's for kids. And if you see it, it says, what is gravity? Gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. So they have a couple of diagrams, and it's funny, they never have real pictures. Now, gravity on Earth, and this is something that I never really saw, is they say gravity is very important to us. We cannot live on Earth without it. The sun's gravity keeps Earth in orbit around it, keeping us at a comfortable distance to enjoy the sun's light and warmth. It holds down our atmosphere and the air we need to breathe. Gravity is what holds our world together. However, gravity isn't the same everywhere on Earth. Gravity is slightly stronger over places with more mass underground than over places with less mass. NASA uses two spacecraft to measure these variations in Earth's gravity. These spacecraft are part of the Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment mission. And so they're saying that the areas in blue have slightly weaker gravity and areas in red have slightly stronger gravity.
Right.
Do they have experiments that demonstrate that, and how stronger and weaker are those gravitational areas? I mean, I never heard of this, even when I was a glober.
Doesn't this completely debunk the whole idea of being pulled to the center of mass? Like, I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood.
I mean, let's apply this.
No, it's just nobody's given the
have-
caveat. That's all it is. Nobody's explained that it's not towards the center of mass. It's just towards the center of a spinning testicle.
Now it makes sense.
If we were to apply that to real life, let's imagine that we lived on a ball, and there are different places on this ball that have different degrees of gravity. Does anybody think that would work?
Sorry, a what?
Do you think it would work if we can go to different places on the ball with different effects of gravity? Like if gravity was stronger somewhere, like let's say at the equator than it was at the North Pole. Like, do you think that would be feasible in the real world?
They would just go ahead.
I'm going to apply with some way to try to figure that out. I mean, really, technically, and looking at that graph that they had, you should weigh more at the top of Mount Everest than you would at sea level. You apply that. There's more mass than you at that point.
Oh man! You've got all the mass of the mountain above the actual mass of the Earth. Yeah, you should weigh above more on the top of the mountain.
No, that's not exactly. No, that's not true, because you are also further away from the total mass of the Earth.
So then that all starts to break down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're
Remember,
connected
the
to the
gradient of
ground.
gravity is supposed to be
Right,
dying down
right.
the further away you go. So yeah, it's a mess.
It's a
Then I
hot mess.
wonder how they applied centrifugal force when things are weighing less at
Oh,
that
shit.
point, too, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and seriously, every time the moon passes over, like a huge chunk of air should be sucked out of the atmosphere permanently. But yeah, no gales, no giant windstorms every time the moon passes over. So
Like, imagine being on top of Mount Everest, right? And then the moon passes above you, right? So, like, would you be pulled apart because of the all the gravity coming from underneath you, and then the moon's little 1/6 gravity that can pull all the ocean water? So that's got to be pretty strong.
well, maybe your blood will all rise to your head.
Maybe.
That reminds me, we're talking about. I mentioned that apparently the moon pulls all the oceans, but the sun. I don't know if the sun has anything to do with tides, the supposed tides, but the sun has so many million times more of a gravitational force than the moon, according to their model. But yet they claim that the moon has a stronger gravitational force on the tides. So,
Yep. Well, it's one of those.
Yeah, but
details
only
that just
only
makes the
on the
least
salt
sense.
water.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
don't forget you have Jupiter and Saturn out there too. So when they're between you and the sun, what they do? What's causing that? Or what's
They're so far away,
well,
Just
but-
like seeing the curve on the Earth, you just have to get further away. And
Actually, I used to think when I first was arguing with atheists about creation, I thought it makes sense if you're using the heliocentric model that the planets kind of keep things in orbit because as the Jupiter passes around, it pulls the Earth out a little bit because it might be drifting too close to the sun. And I used to think that way. Now that I think about it, that actually is kind of fallacious because the whole system would be dynamic. Really, if you think about it, the whole system would be all over the place, not just orbital orbit, whatever the word is.
right,
yeah, that's why it never made sense to me that the Earth could continuously hold on to the moon, but we're orbiting the sun, and the sun's gravity is that much more ridiculous than ours. But somehow all these planets have their own moons and their own orbits. Like it all falls apart. It's ridiculous beyond belief.
yeah, and
Well,
don't forget all the meteors and comets that are supposedly
Oh
crisscrossing.
yeah, can't
Alright.
forget those.
Don't they have some kind of gravitational effect? Or
But even in that, I mean, the Halley's Comet is supposed to pass past Pluto. So, but if the sun is moving, through the solar system or through the galaxy too, in a sense, why doesn't the sun leave Halley's Comet off in the distance?
But I don't
gone.
think that's entirely true, though, because I remember NASA stories about how comets would literally go into the sun, and then they deduced from what they saw that the sun must have like different heat distances, because at some point the comet would start to evaporate and then at others it wouldn't, and it was super convoluted. But
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate forum there to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate. And if you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, then simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Ranty Flat Earth, Paul, Eben, Chocolate Saying, Warren and Arwin. Very good to have you all.
Hello, hello.
Good
Nice to
morning.
be here.
Hello, what ho?
We only got through one question on housekeeping on the whole of the last show. So if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, it was yesterday's show. But yeah, so I would like, if that's possible, to go through all of housekeeping. Let's see how we get on. Any signs of... Oh, no, that was... Go on. Any signs of curvature? I'm going to get it in, whether you like it or not.
Nope. Yeah, but you asked for quickness. I think that just answered every question before
What
you
did?
even said it.
Yeah, let's just all simultaneously say no.
Yeah, but I've got to... Your question's got to get out, though, otherwise it makes no sense. So let me at least get to the end of each question before you answer. So any signs of Earth-based axial rotation?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
What about scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence
Oh,
of
dear.
what?
Gravity.
Say what now? Say what?
I love that,
Well,
Travis.
does scientific evidence of an aberration count?
Gravity.
No, Arwin.
No, I know. It's a contradiction in terms.
I have
Scientific evidence?
of
Anybody?
gravity.
Yes, there is scientific evidence of gravity because Brenda has claimed that if we named it gravity, and that's the proof of gravity. Thank you.
I don't accept that as a standard. We can possibly accept scientific evidence, hypothesis-driven systematic experimentation. No?
Well, look, I'm
No,
in the
we
process
just
of
named
ordering a new
things.
mic, so I might have some proof of gravity soon.
Oh, you're going to drop that mic?
Exactly.
Well, that would prove that it was more dense than the air that was in. Wouldn't you agree?
Gravity.
Okay, no, let's
And
move
then all
on.
you have to do is name that Mike Bob, and then you sign. There you go.
Pop yourself on mute, Paul. I'll do
Who's
it for you because I always get blamed that that's my kid and it's not. Anyway, right. Any signs that you can have a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Wait, any proof that it can? Or that it is?
Any evidence that we have a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Well, I had an updated picture the other day that I presented, but it was still a picture.
I mean, a lot of the globers have equations and, pretty diagrams painted on whiteboards and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that's proof.
In other words, no.
Exactly.
Did you want to add something, Paul?
Can you share my screen for a sec, Nate?
Hold on.
Hi, Eleanor.
It's not Eleanor. That's why I'm asking him. Paul, did you want to add something? You've got your mic wide open.
Ooh, nice.
No, clearly not. Go on, up you go, Ranty. Oh, that's beautiful, epic. That's not proof.
I found it. It's there. Look, it's an image. It's from science. Science says that it's there. Look.
I love what it says. Earth's moving, melting core, science.
Yeah,
Ass.
The Earth is the eye of Sauron.
What an outrage.
That's
You
what
stick
it
the
looks
words-
like.
That's it. You've been programmed to accept that science, that word, means proven empirically. So they say, Earth's moving, melting core, little line, science! So everyone goes, all right, science says that's what your world is. A giant eyeball.
Don't forget the ass.
I forgot the ass.
The eye of Thundera.
There was indeed an ass. It might not have been on the screen for the audience, but indeed it did say ass. Right, let's move on. This is
Science
nonsense.
ass.
Let's move on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Nope.
Hang on, let me see if I can
As
find an
far as we
image.
can tell, there is no distance to the sun.
I don't know. Ranty's got an image. Whatever that
I'm
means.
gonna have. Hang on, wait a minute. Yeah.
Ranty, you're holding true to form. You're providing all the glow proofs. Thanks, man.
Here we go. Look at this. There we go. Proof. Distance to the sun.
What's that?
Cool.
Earth.
That's probably not the scale.
I don't
right?
accept this,
sun.
Ranty. It doesn't say science.
It doesn't say that. What? Do I have to find the science one?
Yeah, you've got to have one that says the word science, so I will accept it as absolutely empirical and true.
What about from NASA?
Say science.
No.
No,
You've
I
got to
want
have
to
the
pick-
word
I mean,
science
NASA is the
there.
equivalent
What's
of
wrong with you?
science, I
Don't you
guess.
know the rules? If it doesn't say science, then it's not empirical and true. If it does say science, you can be damn sure you can believe it.
I want a picture that's the scale.
Oh, sciencing. What about science? Oh, no. Not science.
Should we move on?
Sciencing.
Should we move on?
Yeah,
This has been given
You
enough
better move
humour.
on. I can't find it, Nath.
No evidence of the distance to the sun.
No.
That's a pity. What
Not
about
science.
evidence of the presupposition of an R value, Earth radius?
Nope.
No?
Yeah.
Nobody?
Wait. Ranty, go back.
Go back.
One more. There was a picture of Venus. Look at that. Okay, so you see that diagram of Venus and Earth and the Sun?
Ooh, here.
No, bottom left.
Yeah, down here.
Yeah, that one. Okay, so isn't Venus supposed to be the same size as Earth?
Well, I think that the sun is supposed to be slightly bigger than the Earth as well. So
Yeah.
I think the
Don't
scale
bother
on
me
this
with
one is
rivals.
pretty awful. I think you're both right. The scale on this one, even by heliocentric bullshit worlds of spinning spheres in a vacuum of space. Just so I can point that out, because that was the last question. So, any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
You're breathing
Absolutely
air,
not.
aren't you?
Okay, go back to that picture, Ranty, or any picture of the Earth in space cartoon. So, just to be clear, right? Obviously, this is not to scale, but the black bit here, that's outer space, right? This bit on the bullshit pseudo blue marble bollocks they claim where we live, all of this white stuff, that's pressure, gas pressure, trying to push outwards, right? And what it's got to resist pushing outwards is a vacuum. It's the biggest pile of bollocks of the entire narrative. And, conversely, the best heliocentric debunking there is. You can't have these clouds on this blue bullshit nonsense here next to a vacuum. Because you know what would happen? When they're trying to push down and out and in, they're also trying to push this way. And if there's nothing to resist them pushing that way, do you know what's going to happen? They're going to go whoosh, immediately, instantaneously, and the gas will fill the space that becomes available to it. That's called the second
does that
law
go
of
again?
thermodynamics.
The gas will fuck right off.
Yeah, it will. It'll disappear into whatever space is available. So if they claim there's an infinite, never-ending, expanding vacuum of space, then that's what's going to happen. It's going to disperse and fill that space. It's not going to magically stay on the cartoon. I mean the Earth. That doesn't
Now,
happen.
let me say just something real quick, is that everyone knows this intuitively. Everyone knows this is what ought to happen in the real world. But because it's not happening, that's where the metaphysical mumbo jumbo comes in to explain why it's not happening.
Mhm.
Oh no, they
Yeah,
go
the funny
directly
thing is
to
with the whole gas.
no, they go
gas
directly
pressure
to their
gradient and
religious
everything.
belief. Hello, Rumpus. How you doing?
What
Hello.
they do with the outer space in relation to the gradient of the gas pressure on the Earth is basically say, yeah, it's empty, but they don't take into account that emptiness actually.
Hello,
sucks.
You are aware that gravity
Hello,
acts upon the
NW
molecules
dude.
of
How
the
you doing?
atmosphere, are you?
Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
at a steady
Hold on, Owen. Hold on one second. Hello,
That-
NW
Not-
dude.
which is not strong enough.
that
I've been on the
provides
panel
a
2
force
minutes and I can't
to
even
keep the
introduce a
atmosphere.
new guest because Rumpus is here. Shut the fuck up!
Ugh.
Right, hello NW. Can you hear us?
Hey, I'm right here. How you guys doing?
Very good to have you. Thank you very much.
Very,
Thank you.
very simple. The molecules are attracted by gravity to the center of the Earth, though they don't go off into space. It's so simple.
Can you give us a
A
demonstration of
small
that,
child
please?
understands.
Hold on.
It's a
It's
weak
Rumpus
so,
me. Don't
so
rumpus me.
simple.
Arwin,
It's a weak
Arwin,
force.
Arwin, Arwin,
So
Arwin.
simple. So
Can you,
simple. It's incredible.
Rumpus, can you shut up? I've heard your statement. Now give me a demonstration of gravity maintaining gas pressure without a container. Demonstrate it.
The atmosphere does it. That is a demonstration.
What, you saying it, you fundy zealot fuck? No, it isn't. You declaring that it is possible is not a demonstration of gas pressure being maintained without a container, you bloody fundy zealot. So don't just declare it and claim that that's a demonstration. Declaration is not demonstration, you stupid, blithering, utter moron!
Measured. There are people who spend their lives measuring the gas pressure.
Demonstrate it, you stupid zealot. Demonstrate gas pressure being maintained without a container. Don't declare it, demonstrate it.
There are all sorts of atmospheric papers that do this very thing. People
Atmospheric papers? You think pieces of paper are a demonstration, you blithering buffoon? Do you understand what the word demonstration means, Rumpus? Because it seems like you think bits of paper are demonstrations. Do I need to break it down? Do I need to give you the etymology of the word demonstration?
The papers document demonstrations that have occurred, you moron.
So give us a demonstration that has occurred.
Okay. You want me to reference a paper on the,
No!
of the atmosphere?
Are you deaf? I want
you a
a
moron?
demonstration, not
can't give you
documentation.
demonstration from here,
Do I
can
need
I,
to
you idiot?
literally take you to the etymology of the word demonstration, not documentation? Demonstration, you stupid man.
To you. What constitutes proof to you? Is it live pictures?
A demonstration!
Yeah.
Are you deaf?
Exactly.
Are you deaf? Do I have to shout this at you 16 times? I don't want documentation. I want a demonstration of gas pressure being maintained by your fundy belief of gravity. That's what I want.
So you want to partake in an experiment?
I want a demonstration.
I don't have one. I can't go up.
Yeah, no shit. No shit. You've only got your fucking fundy belief, haven't you? That's all you've got, you stupid little man. Your fundy belief in this shit that you will declare happens because it happens because you've got a fundy belief in it. That's all you'll ever do. So I demand a demonstration of gas pressure, defying the second law of thermodynamics, and I do not accept your stupid, fundamentalist belief in gravity unless you can actually sodding demonstrate
I'm
it.
right next to me, ready to go. Yeah, of course. What a
Rumpus, you're
stupid
going back to
request.
space to prove it?
I mean, what an idiotic request. I mean, all the panel can see that's stupid. Absolutely
it's not.
stupid. Of course it is.
No,
He's
why
expecting
can't you
me to
only
give him a
suppose prove
demonstration
this
now
on the scale
of
of
the
the Earth itself?
atmospheric
Why can't you
pressure
demonstrate
gradient?
it on a smaller scale?
Sorry, no, I didn't ask for a demonstration of the atmospheric pressure gradient. You straw man using asshole. A demonstration of gas pressure is still pressure, even if you add the word gradient in, Rumpus. So you've just come here to use the tired old straw men. Yeah, gas pressure gradient still requires the necessary antecedent of a container. So unless you've got a demonstration, even by way of gravity, your fundy belief, you can have it. Have your fundy belief, but give us a demonstration. You can have your fundy belief, but it must be applied in an actual, real-world demonstration of
Blah,
gas
blah, blah.
pressure
I'm
being
asking
maintained without a container. You can't.
Right.
You've already declared you can't.
Blah, blah, blah. Right.
Excuse me. You say blah, blah, blah to me while I'm pointing out the fundamental flaw in your religious faith, and I'll just kick you out, you arrogant little prick. Blah, blah, blah is the demolition of your fundamentalist religious zealotry. You can say blah, blah, blah like it's not important, but your belief defies the second law of thermodynamics, It might be blah, 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 blah to you, but that's because you're a fundy zealot wanker and you cannot demonstrate this fundamentalist belief that you hold in gas pressure being maintained without a container. It's not possible to demonstrate. You've declared that it's not possible to demonstrate. So just saying blah, blah, blah while I rip your religion to shreds isn't going to wash here. Nobody thinks blah, 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 a hand wave dismissal, is a demonstration of gas pressure without a container, Rumpus. It's absolutely pathetic. You've got nothing but fundy belief and a declaration in gravity, and that's all you'll ever have.
What you can only do is censor. It's the only thing you've got.
A gradient doesn't work, Rumpus.
Right. Owen, you asked me a question. Said
I have declared that you.
Gradient.
Owen, right? Let me have Rumpus without you rumpusing me as well. Owen, this is one of those times.
You're just censoring me. Right.
I'm talking. You're talking over me. So, fuckwit, when you talk over me like now, I will shut you the fuck up and I will get the mic. It won't be a battle between us where I have to fight over you talking over me. I'll just shut you up. You can call that censorship, but I absolutely guarantee if you talk while I talk, I'll be the one heard. So just don't talk while I talk and we'll both have a conversation. Or you can talk incessantly and claim I'm censoring you, you stupid, arrogant little prick. Now, I've declared, and you've ignored and tried to engage Arwin, that this pressure gradient is a straw man. Now, I guarantee that you'll have talked over the entire content of what I've declared. You'll ignore it and maybe declare that blah, blah, blah is the right bloody answer. But I'm telling you, the straw man of gas pressure gradients does not defeat the necessary antecedent to have gas pressure because it's still pressure. It's just gradiated pressure and still needs a container. And if you're to declare otherwise, you have to demonstrate gas pressure being maintained without a container. Not say blah, blah, blah.
You're just censoring reality. Right, Arwen asking the question, why can't you...
Fuck off. Get out of my fucking hangout. And you're going to talk the entire time and then ignore every fucking word I say. You can get out. Don't talk continually and then claim I'm censoring you.
Whew.
Wow.
My head.
That was a bit of an allergic reaction, though.
Well,
I know what he was going to say. I know what he was going to say. He was going to bring up the gradient, and then I was going to remind him, yeah, a gradient can only set in after an equilibrium has been reached within the container. But, yeah.
Well, I went to the garage a few months ago, and I asked them for some air pressure for my car, for the wheels around my car. And they said, right, okay, what tyre would you like? I said, I don't want a tyre. I just want the air pressure. Do you know what they said?
You can't have air pressure without a container.
I think what they said, Ranty, hold on. They said, we can do it, but only if it's gradiated pressure, correct?
Did they, hell? Did they?
Hold on. That was Rumpus's defence to this, and then he just talked incessantly and claimed I was censoring him while he didn't shut the fuck up the entire time he was here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did any of you hear a single word I said when Rumpus joined?
Nope.
Not really.
I wasn't.
You didn't hear a single word I said, and yet he claims that I'm censoring him. Just had a big mobile.
Welcome back, Rumpus.
Notice he wasn't here to present the 9 months worth of nonsense he's given us about having a cold and presenting his bullshit reification fallacy model. Just here to fight the usual straw man of gradiated pressure. Well, like Ranty just pointed out, Rumpus, it's not like they can say, oh, I'll give you a tyre without the tyre, yeah, because we've got a pressure gradient. Yeah, that's bollocks.
I think Erwin got sniped.
Dropped.
Yeah, I got sniped.
You got sniped?
Yeah.
Oh, by Rumpus. Presumably by Rumpus. So he claims I'm censoring him. I tell him to shut up. He doesn't. He talks non-stop so that nobody on the panel can hear anything that's being said. I kick him out, and then he decides that he's sniping the panel.
Yeah, I got sniped by my 2-year-old or my 22-month-old.
I wish there's a Glober so I can ask them this question. On a full solar eclipse, as one that happened in July 20, not sorry, not was it July 27th? Am I getting this wrong? Hold on. August 21st, 2017.
Hi, new guest. Is that Rethinking Revolution? Oh, it's Travis, isn't it? Hey, Travis.
Okay, so I might have gotten. All right, so I'm going to share the screen. Screen 1. And all right, so I looked up solar eclipse, and there's the Great American Eclipse, August 21st, 2017. And so tidal charts. I fish a lot. I used to fish saltwater when I used to live near the ocean. And so if you look at the solar eclipse, or I mean the tidal chart
Somebody's in the back chat sniping.
Hello.
Hi. So on August 21st, 2017, during the full solar eclipse, that means the moon is eclipsing the sun. They're in line. So gravity is going to be able to pull the tidal tide at the highest. So you can see here, it's 5.33 meters. That's the highest of the day at 5:56 p.m. Now, the next day, would the tide be lower, high tide be lower, or should it be higher with gravity? Their idea of gravity. Well, if you go to the 22nd, the next day, the high tide goes even higher. How does that make sense in their gravitational model? And then if you go to the 23rd, the next day, it goes even higher. It goes at 5.46 meters. Can a Glober explain that to me? I don't understand it.
Is someone still sniping?
Yeah, clearly, Rumpus.
What do you guys mean by that? Sniping? What do you
Kicking
mean
you out
by
the
that?
show because he's been kicked out for non-stop rumpusing, Rumpus by name, Rumpus by nature.
Oh.
You know, if you're just going to wind me up the entire time, piss me off to the point where you've got me in fuming rage, I'm just going to kick you out.
How can he snipe if he's not in the room, though?
They just snipe from the back.
Hacker?
Yeah, Rumpus's only purpose in being here is to do what his name suggests, which is to rumpus, and then claim victimhood, claim he's being censored. Even though nobody on the panel can hear what's being said from the moment he arrives, he just talks indefinitely, won't shut up, constantly talks, and when anything he says is addressed, i.e. his straw man, he ignores it. I'm going to talk to Arwin then if you've got a difficult conversation to have with me. I'll talk indefinitely. You won't get to be heard by the panel. Well,
yeah,
I might not get to hear, but damn sure the audience is going to hear me rip his shreds, his straw man. Rip 2 shreds.
Yeah, when I came back, all I heard was this. I didn't hear nothing. I didn't hear nothing on nobody.
That's what he does. That's what he does. Just basically rumpuses. He just talks constantly so that he censors the panel. So because the panel can't hear anything that's going on, they're not going to support my argument. They're not going to, disagree when he's ignored the contrary point to his claim. His straw man being pointed out. You don't get to hear that I've pointed out his straw man, right? So second I shut up, he just moves on with whatever point he wants to make. In other words, he belligerently decides that he's going to run the show. Well, fuck you, Rumpus. I'll just kick you out, you stupid cunt. Piss off.
He's a wanker.
Yeah, he thinks that behaviour will fly. I'm sick of it. I was sick of it when he was on the show before, and he hasn't changed. He's got the name, the Rumpus. That's his purpose in doing what he does. Did you want me to display you, Ranty?
Yeah, I mean, I typed in gas pressure without a container on images and looked at it from Google. Obviously, we've got, I don't know how we've got on the top line, we've got this idiot on there. But anyway, as you can see, there's no image of gas pressure without a container. They all have containers. They are all holding the pressure in a container, except for this one, Nathan. Do you remember this one?
I've only just got you on screen, Ranty. Go on. You now displayed, not to the pang out, but to the audience.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, they're in a container. One, gas pressure. Gas pressure is the force of gas particles colliding with the walls of its container. And when you search for gas pressure without a container, you can't find anything. They're all containers. Boxes.
What was the top left one? Very top left. What does that say?
Oh, this thing, slaphead.
I can't quite read it. It's too small.
It says, "Oi, slaphead, how do you have gas pressure without a container?"
Ah. Well, he answered that. That was very kind of Conspiracy Flaps to answer that question. He made it very clear, to quote him. He said, "Without the container, there can be no pressure." That's what Conspiracy Cats had to say about it. He also had a demonstration with a balloon, and he basically explained that without the balloon, i.e. a barrier, there is no pressure.
It's funny that though, isn't it? That you ask for something, proof of air pressure without a container, and everything they produce is with a container.
Isn't it funny though that you Google search that exact phrase and this guy pops up?
Yeah, but I think it's some dude having a pop at him. You look at the wording.
But that happened not too shortly after he showed up on. Well, I don't know. After we started going at him with his claims, and then somebody told me, if you Google search, pressure without a container, you will see Conspiracy Cats up there. And I was like, no way. He said, yo. So I Googled it, and I was just like, no fucking way.
So this was Nathan, actually. You blew up a balloon, didn't you, Nathan? And then you popped it. And I think you had some kind of talcum powder in there or something. And this is the remnants. As the balloon popped, you had this gas pressure here that obviously dispersed immediately. But it's a frame of that's captured. And you were saying, that is gas pressure there. And then it dispersed immediately.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Conspiracy Cats, he had a few interesting things to say on Haunted Houses chat. So I'm not a subscriber of Conspiracy Cats, but I am a subscriber of Haunted House. So shout out to Haunted House. Go and check out his channel. If anyone can spam his link, that'd be great. But yeah, so Haunted House and he had a discussion the other day, and he basically explained very candidly that if he was to accept that these points that we make are valid, which they are, backed by his own words, in fact, then he would have to contemplate the likelihood of being lied to on multiple levels. And he said, if I contemplated that I've been lied to on multiple levels, I'd go to pieces. I'd be very paranoid. And I thought, well, isn't that a shame? Then he went on to explain how he'd been losing sleep over what I said.
That kind of proves what I was saying yesterday or day before yesterday about, I think if they concede or even start to begin to acknowledge it, that the ramifications of that they can't accept.
Yeah, but it's just so nice because so often people say, who cares if it's flat or round? So to hear Conspiracy Cats explaining just exactly how important it is, but with him fighting against it, made me smile. I don't know about you, Ranty, but with the exception of having a screaming kid a lot of the time, I sleep very well. What about you?
Yeah, I sleep incredibly well.
Like when I do sleep, because I don't sleep.
Yeah.
The song that I kept running through my head when I first started looking into this was, "It's the end of the world and you know it, and I'm still fine."
They played that out at the beginning of Independence Day, so when they're looking from SETI at the moon with their spaceship flying over it, I'm pretty sure that's what's playing on the radio.
Is it really on the new Independence Day or the old one?
The old Independence Day. The classic bullshit, as opposed to the new bullshit.
Look at this, Nate.
The song going through my head was "It's a Mad World" by Gary Jules.
You like this image, Nate?
Yeah, it's got a container in it though. definitely.
Yeah, even low pressure has a container.
Yeah, it's the necessary antecedent.
Pressure is pressure.
Yeah, you're definitely always going to have that container needed. Like Conspiracy Flap says, without the container, there can be no pressure. Conspiracy Cats 2019.
You know what Forrest Gump said, right?
What's that?
Pressure is as pressure does.
You know, Nate,
Hey, guys,
with that statement that you just said about conspiracy cats, I mean, to me, what I heard was, I'm too scared to admit that I might be lied to. Basically, like I can't have my worldview messed with, and I would rather continue living in bullshit and teaching kids bullshit or whatever it is that I'm doing than admit to myself and to the people that I know that it's bullshit. So I will just continue swimming in this bullshit for as long as I can. And to me, that I lose respect for people like that. Like you, basically, I heard like I'm not a man.
We should pity him. Absolutely correct. You should pity him, and that's why he's having sleepless nights. Sod all to do with me, and everything to do with him fighting against his own battles of cognition. He knows you can't have gas pressure without a container. He knows space is a second law of thermodynamics violation at a very intrinsic level. He knows, but he's going to deny it and try and find his way around it. And in doing so, all he's done is strengthen our assertion that without the container, there can be no pressure. Right, Conspiracy Cats? So, space is a second law of thermodynamics violation. And you've never been there. You're just told it exists by priests who tell you what heaven is. So, for all those people out there that can't quite wrap their head around this because it seems just so complicated, look up at the sky, admire how beautiful it is, and then say to yourself, that's a vacuum.
You know, it begs a question, like what? And this is a question we all should ask ourselves across the board. What's the basis? What's the foundation on which we place our feet? You know what I mean? Like, what's the basis we determine what's true, what's real, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable? You know, if it's truth, then he shouldn't be afraid to question. You know, if it's some belief of your money or success or whatever, that's shifting sands that will fade away in a moment. You know, so just a thought experiment, just something to think about.
And one of my favorite quotes is from the theoretical physicist Richard Feynman, where he goes, "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned."
But we do have answers that can't be questioned. How dare you question the validity of space?
Oh, hello.
Am I still presenting, Nate?
I just literally clicked you away, but did you want to show something else?
Oh, right, yeah. I just wanted to sort of self-promote people to go back and have a look at some of these videos that I did, you know, from like around June time of the past year, because I've just had a look today and there's 165 views, 224 views. Now, essentially, you know that this stuff, I've presented most of this on your debates, so it's, most of my subscribers probably watched it on yours, so they didn't come to my channel to actually see these. But since that, I've got a bunch of new subscribers right now. Some of this stuff that we talked about and these observations, this is how we got to where we are right now with the optical side of things, and it's what inspired Life is Short to do his documentary. Essentially going through these observations was, something that we did every single day. If you remember, Nath, this was how we deciphered how they hijacked perspective for curvature. And if people want to go back and have a look at these videos, they're all on my channel. I've got over 200, and I think some of them should be watched, really, because it will, it'll help enlighten you to, to the optical side of stuff.
Shameless self-promotion, but definitely go and check out Ranty Flat Earth. I'm sure I'll put his link to his channel or one of the videos, so you can go to there quickly in the chat feed as it scrolls by. And while we're
there we go.
Shamelessly self-promoting, a big shout out to all of the people who join me on Patreon. Really, really appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much indeed. So thank you very much. Oh, I've got a new one. Hooray! Got another Patreon. Woohoo! Thank you very much to all of joining me on Patreon. I really, really appreciate your support.
No problem.
Did you spam your link? Were you one of them, Warren?
Yeah,
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
did about half hour ago.
Oh, well, you've got a proper shout out, so that was you. I thought I would have known if it was you. So thank you very much.
No props. You're worth it.
I am worth it, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, more importantly, Ranty, have you spammed your link? Oh, bloody hell. No, not yet. Ranty's vanished. Well, this is a little brief pause. I'm going to do some shout outs to the people in chat. Shout out to Jimbo. Thanks very much for being here. Ian Adams, nice to see you. Joining this live stream. Hugh Janice. Thanks for being here. Rob, nice to see you. The Rumpus. You little shit. Nice to have you in our chat and all this. Slick James Johnson, thanks for being here. I've already said hello. Keyboard Warrior got a shout out earlier. You Janus. Terrible, terrible. Pete Shea, good to see you. Daniel Field, thanks for being here.
I'm back.
You spam your link?
Who, me?
Yeah, you were telling people to go to your channel.
Oh, right, hang on then.
I could probably do the link.
Right, just one sec.
One thing I will give kudos to Rumpus for is triggering me so quickly. You've got to hand it to the guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of the audience probably don't know who the guy is and what he does and how he does trigger people. So, you know,
He's a science guy, right?
I think he generally refers to the body of science. He is the worst culprit for reifying science. There you go.
Yeah, we've had dealings with him in the past, so you know it's not our first rodeo with him.
That said, I could have probably kept my temper a bit more in check than I did.
Yeah, but you know you got a hair trigger with Rumpus.
Yeah, he knows it too, the bastard. But there we go. Fair play. I'd be leveraging that too. So Ranty Flat Earth chat's now. Link is in the chat now, so go and subscribe to his channel. He and I will be doing. Oh no, when this goes out live, it won't be. So if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, you can now go to Ranty Flat Earth's channel and check out our discussion that we had yesterday, which will, to a certain degree, be a chat about Gary Awesome, along with a few other things, I'm sure. And I know it's hard to say now because you've invited him, but obviously we can't see into the future. He may, I doubt very much he'd probably come and say hello to us, but at least he's had an invite, eh?
Yeah, we'll see. I'll just double check actually, see whether or not he's responded. One sec. No, I've sent the message. He's still not seen it yet, so it's up to him.
Now. Screw you, Flat Earth retard. You are worse than feminism.
I don't think he understands what he's got himself into, because yeah, when he does his feminism stuff, he's on the ball, but he's literally hopped over onto the flat earth debates and basically he doesn't realize that he doesn't have a leg to stand on. And he'll find out very quickly if he ever does come to have a debate that, you know, he'll realize, hang on, wait a minute, these guys have more than a point, they're on point. And, you know, he'll do something like Red Pill did, you know, which is wake up.
Maybe. I mean, ultimately speaking, I don't see him as a globehead for certain. I don't know if you agree with me on this, Ranty. I'm sure we'll get to discussing this later. He's just a YouTuber. I don't want to say just. I actually think he's a very good YouTuber. But he's looked. Shout out to Rodney for the super chat. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work, guys. He's just come across this subject because presumably he's seen it in a trending feed, or he's had it suggested to him. Not that that'll happen anymore. Share the show, beat YouTube censorship. Anyway, he's come across the video and gone, well, I'm a YouTuber. I've got a reaction, so I'm going to react. But he's just Joe Normal. You know, he's given all these standard rhetoric and standard formal logical fallacies that we hear all day long. So it's not like he's, you know, a globehead intentionally trying to deceive people. He thinks he's got a good handle on the world. And most people do. He is the personification of average Joe Normal when it comes to this subject, if you ask me. So I've got nothing against Gary Awesome in the slightest. You know, in many ways, I would prefer not to have to, you know, fire breathe on him like I'd do with someone like Rumpus, who absolutely deserves it. Because he doesn't. He's just Joe Normal, and he's approaching the subject from the normal place that you and I would probably approach it if we hadn't been looking at it for the last 3 years. We'd just go, look at these crazy idiots. We all know the Earth's a sphere, and for us, we hear something like that and rub our hands together, right? And go, ha ha ha, oh yeah, dogmatist zealot. Yeah, you just assert your faith. But that's, you know, not necessarily needed when it's somebody that's coming to the subject new, fresh. It's just
well, then again, taking it forward from what you've just said, which is that, you know, you shouldn't really jump down people's throats. I do see you doing that quite a lot, especially when a scientist comes on.
Oh, come on. This is a flat earth debate show. If you're joining to debate this subject, then you better have your ducks in a line. You better have your conversation well worked out, your arguments well and truly sewn up and sorted. And if you're a scientist, you better damn well have some science to present. You know, not an excuse for why the scientific method has now evolved into something beyond an empirical method of proving things, so therefore I should accept what you say. You know, that's going to get your head ripped off in this platform. But, you know, that said, that's one of the reasons I was more keen, you know, because Ranty was suggesting to me, you should talk to Gary, you should debate him. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to have a go at Gary. You know, I'll point out his logical fallacies, because he's got to have somebody slap him around the face a little bit. But, you know, I don't want to fire breathe on him in person. I'd much rather talk to him about the stuff he does well. You know, talk to him about the feminist nonsense he picks apart so well.
Hey, Nathan.
Hello.
Hey, I think the reason why he said what he said, that so-called science boy, about...
Oh, don't spoil it. I've not watched it yet. If this is the reaction, I've not watched it. I'm going to watch it for the first time on Ranties.
Oh, no, I meant... I'm just to say in my 2 cents, I think he said that the reason why that method is no longer, like, it's evolved is because he can't admit that science can't prove what his assertions are, you know, so he has to do that. He has to say, oh, well, you know, we're going to change this around now because this method doesn't work anymore, you know, and we got to do something different, you know.
Yeah, he needs to reterm what is on his badge. So his badge says scientist, and because he can't apply the scientific method, he needs to go to a reference from a journal that's written by another scientist. So none of this is science. It's some guy's written down to justify how his version of the scientific method is a new version and it should be accepted, when they essentially don't do an empirical method. So it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, wouldn't that be the first thing you were going to do? If you're a fortune teller and somebody had a method of predicting something reasonably accurately, but you want to convince people that, nah, you don't want to use that version of prediction, you know, like something, let's use something that's just set in stone. So we know that Tuesday will follow Monday, but fortune teller here wants to tell you that you can go to Wednesday if you concentrate hard enough. Well, the first thing that fortune teller is going to do is try and discredit the logical, empirical, truthful way of assessing your reality and say, no, here, look, in my magic book, it says that I can prove how I do what I do, and I will explain it to you in great depth. It's like, all right, okay. What about you proving that you can go from Monday to Wednesday? No. My book explains why I don't need to prove it to you. And also, the method of proving it logically and reasonably, that's outdated. My magic book's much better. That's an old dusty old way. Proving things is overrated.
So in his case, he's making a fallacy, a logical fallacy, an appeal to authority. Is that correct?
It's not well, it kind of is an appeal to authority when he says I've got a... I did not exactly. I deliberately and intentionally challenged him to bring up a citation because I wanted to rip into the citation. Now, we didn't get
Okay.
that far, which was a shame, because I wanted to use the citation to make the point that the person declaring that you don't need a hypothesis isn't going to provide you with scientific validity and doesn't have an empirical method of proving what they claim. It's just the words of man. But we didn't get that far. It, coincidentally, was locked down in academia. You're like, oh, right. So this is perfectly common knowledge that suddenly we need a special password to go and have a look at it. And what is it we're looking at? The words of some dude. Well, we're asking for scientific validity, a method having been followed. And what do we get in response to that? Go and have a look at this document. Some guy said something. What did he say? A hypothesis is needed in a hypothesis test. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
It's double speak and nonsense.
No, I appreciate you having me on your panel. I'm not an authority. I'm not a science guy. I know the globe is a big joke, a big game on us, a big scam on humanity. But I don't know what is what. I can't prove the Earth is flat. I can't go up in space and see the whole entire Earth and say, yep, it's flat, and it's a rectangle, or it's a square, or it's a whatever. I don't have proof of that. Why? I can't get the space that high if I want to,
Oh, well, you can't go to space at all. Space is
or...
a second law of thermodynamics violation. So on screen for the audience only, you've got what they claim to be a picture of Earth from space, and you've got all these cloud formations, gas pressure, right next to this dark black bit, a vacuum of space. Well, while they might show you a picture of it and claim that that's true, in reality, that's a second law of thermodynamics violation. All those clouds would be dissipating into the space.
Totally agree.
Hey, Zinda.
Big fucking joke. Excuse me.
Hi.
I'm gonna swear.
So it's been a sweary episode. Don't worry about the language. Who cares at this point? Hey, Zinda.
Sorry, man.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, but if space is fake, that doesn't make the Earth flat. It still could be round.
That's true, I guess. Sure.
That's true, I suppose.
That could be, who knows, but I've not seen a curve. I've not seen curvature ever. Even when before I even knew the Earth was not a curve, I never seen a curve.
Yeah,
unless I draw a curve on a piece of paper, or a curve of my cup or my coaster here, but that's a curve, but that's not, so nobody can prove the freaking curvature of the Earth. So science must be really scared right now. The people in charge of the scientism are scared because they can't prove anything. So they keep they keep moving the goalpost up. Like, what's his face? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, well, you could be at this high and it doesn't matter. You still can't see the whole entire Earth or the curvature of the Earth, blah, blah, blah. It's like a big joke that they're playing on us. It's a game.
Do you really think that? Go on, sorry.
No, it's okay, man. I'm just saying it's a scam because nobody has proved to us anything. But yet you're taught in school, this is the fact, this is it. Don't believe anything else. That's what you're taught in school.
Well, but do you think that the flat Earth internet meme, I think, because flat Earth was obviously over thousands of years ago, most people thought the Earth was flat, and then obvious. But I mean, I'm talking now about the flat Earth meme that came, I don't know, a few years ago. I think over 5 years whatsoever. When I think B.O.B. The rapper, right? He started to introduce it more to the public, whatever. So do you think that movement changed anything in the scientific community? Or what do you think about it?
You should B.O.B.
Yeah, like I think that's a rapper, isn't he?
I don't know B.O.B. I'll be honest. I kind of shut off mainstream media for a long time now because they're a bunch of fake nonsense that usually doesn't help anybody. It keeps us occupied, keeps us distracted. So I've tried to turn off that kind of distraction. But I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what that is. All I know is that one day, about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, I was just going to YouTube and I was looking at channels. For some reason, I was bored, and there's journalism was there. So I was like, "What's this about?" And it was an interesting title to the video. I was watching it. I think it was something about not flat Earth. It was something else that I was aware of, and then I started browsing his other videos, and I came across his flat Earth videos, and that kind of made me interested. I always thought it was a psyop, a CIA psyop, which I'm pretty sure you all have heard of that thousands of times from people who have told you the same thing. And then I realized, oh, that's the flat Earth society, which is not what we have here on our community, the community that's on YouTube and anywhere else, I guess. But who knows? I mean, we actually don't know. We don't really know anything. When it comes down to it, we know nothing. I mean, we think we know something. We don't know anything. We're just, it's all still kind of guesswork. And using what logic we can muster, we just don't really know anything.
All right. But do you think that that the flat Earth meme had a big effect on the scientific community in terms of like the people, and do you think it will change something? Or do you think it will just go on and nothing will change? You know. But what do you think will happen in the future? I mean, you don't have to predict the future. Just curious, what do you think about it?
Camera's just dropped, so I assume he's gonna have had a mobile.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. I'll attempt to give you an answer. I don't think anything necessarily, at least at this stage, is going to necessarily change. It's more about exposure rather than change. There may be change going forward, but it's actually exposing. Hey, Haunted House, you got a big shout out earlier. How you doing? No sound, amigo. But yeah, I just think it's exposure, basically. So Jaren had a big plug yesterday for his video about quotes, which I've now watched, and it is exactly as advertised yesterday, a description of lots of mainstream science bigwigs, people of high profile whose names you will, if you're at least reasonably scientifically aware, know who they are, and what they're saying is essentially that you can't verify that we're spinning and things of that nature. They don't double speak their way around it. They make it quite clear. They say it's not a tolerable position. It's not an acceptable position to have us at the centre of the universe. So we can't place ourselves there. In other words, none of this is based on scientific evidence or experimentation or anything of that nature. It's just philosophy. Hey, P. Hey, P. Can you hear us? Hello? You still with us, Ranty?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Might be my opportunity to round out the live show, move into the after. My wife's just got in, so with that, I will say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this live debate. If you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, then stay tuned, as there will be a short after show to follow. Be sure to check out the forum on nathanoakley.com and keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Right, the live bit's over.
Okay.
Should have dumped that hangout out, because the whole thing's been sniped.
Oh, right, we've got nobody. Oh, so P joined and...
No, P joined after everyone had been kicked out of the hangout.
Ah, right, okay. No, I was just looking at this... somebody put a link in the chat. Have you heard of a plasma shield?
Plasma shield?
Yeah, that's the latest and greatest thing MIT News has just put out. Well, not just put out, but put it out a few years ago. But it's called a plasma field, and it was funded by NASA, funnily enough.
Oh, right. So this is going to be, this will be a band-aid for gas pressure without a container, right? Am I right?
I'm still reading through it. So it's like it's basically keeping high energy radiation at bay. So this high energy radiation cannot penetrate this this plasma shield, and it's actually it makes a hiss. Apparently, it's a plasmaferic hiss. So this noise, it's like a noise barrier, and this noise barrier is what's stopping some kind of electrons from passing through. It's so fucked up.
This is totally new to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this very, very recent?
Well, no, it's November the 26th in 2014.
Oh, not recent at all then.
No, and it's the first time I've heard it, but somebody put a link in the chat. So, of course, I dutifully followed and had a little look. And, yeah, it's basically saying that this protects up to 11,000 kilometers from Earth's surface. So I think that's beneath or further out than the space station, isn't it? So it's basically saying exposure to such high energy radiation can wreak havoc on satellites and can cause serious health risks to astronauts. So obviously, having this plasma shield further away from the Earth is what's stopping the ISS people from getting irradiated.
Okay, so the first question is then, what plasma shield?
Hang on, do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go on.
You can see.
Oh, right, they've got a cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. So this cartoon tells us we've got a plasma shield around spherical Earth. Oh, how long before this gets used as a bloody proof? If we have a plasma shield, then the Earth is a sphere. We have a plasma shield. Enter cartoon from MIT.
That's also
so the Earth is a sphere.
in a sphere shape.
What a load of bollocks.
So, yeah, it's going on about this. It makes up the outer band of the Van Allen radiation belt.
Same thing could be said for them. What Van Allen radiation belts?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
ones they just told you about. Oh, they've got a document on it, like bloody rumpus. Oh, I've got documents that can prove we can have gas pressure without a container. They demonstrated it and then wrote it down.
I was reading all this, and then the last part really got me. This research was funded in part by NASA.
Research? What research? What's their actual research? What have they actually researched?
Well, apparently they sent some something up there that was up there.
So straight away, that's the problem. So they've sent something into the second law of thermodynamics violation to confirm this shield, which presumably will stop that thermal dynamics violation being a problem anymore. So what, you've defied the second law of thermodynamics to come up with a story in a cartoon to tell us that you can actually have gas pressure without a container. No demonstration, just a cartoon next to some script.
Well, I think this is more, I don't think it's about gas pressure, but I think what they're basically doing is they're putting stuff like this out to obviously at some point put some kind of detail up there as to, obviously it's not just gravity that's holding the pressure in. We have another, maybe not a plasma shield, but perhaps a pressure shield. They'd have the pressure shield that's around there, and that's keeping the pressure in, because this is essentially keeping the harmful where is it? Hang on, let me just see what it is. I had it, I couldn't even spell it before. Just bear with me, Nath. High energy rate, it's basically high energy radiation, but they had a name for it. I was just trying to find it. But yeah, so it's whatever it is, it's protecting Earth from that particular energy. Obviously, it's these electrons. I still can't find it. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting because it just seemed like it was another band-aid, like you said. Yeah, it's basically allowing. This is how obviously the astronauts don't get radiation sickness on the ISS. This is how I'm reading it.
I see. So it's not necessarily gas pressure without a container. It's how aren't they being bombarded by high energy radiation as they're that much closer to the sun and not protected by Earth's atmosphere? Oh well, we have this magical net. It's just outside of the ISS, and it coincidentally just happens to absorb high energy radiation. As a consequence, you can have astronauts in a tin can in a second law of thermodynamics violation without us having the gas pressure sucked into that space. That bit's all still real.
Yeah, that's essentially what they're saying. But I'm waiting for the next one to come out because they've got all these different layers. Look at all these different layers that they've got. So there must be other stuff in there that's protecting Earth. You know,
it looks like.
There's gonna...
Did you ever have a spirograph?
Yeah, I did.
That's what it looks like. Someone's done it on a bloody spirograph.
I mean, I wonder how much it costs the taxpayer for them to design this particular image.
20 million.
At least.
Drop
But it was
in the
probably
ocean.
a couple of weeks' work, actually. And what is it they're on? 30 million a day. So, yeah, I mean, it was what? $500 million or so, you would think, to create that image.
How much is a spirograph? About a £5.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Anyway, I just thought I would show you that. Oh, this is what it goes. Ultra relativistic electrons. If I can
Ultra relativistic.
Let me just increase the size. Yeah, ultra can't even spell it. Ultra relativistic electrons.
Okie dokie. I'll buy that for $1. So, what are we going to talk about tonight other than Gary Awesome?
Just have a chit chat, I think. I'm going to try and invite a few people on. That's just have a chill out, basically a roundup of what's been going on. I haven't been around recently, as you know, much. So it'd be nice to just get my hands back on it again, so to speak, because I've been working too much, Anna. So it was nice to actually appear on the debates today for a change, because I've only ever stopped by occasionally, Anna, recently.
Yeah. Just annoying. I just hate Rumpus. He's just such a twat.
He's never changed. It's the same. It literally is the same stuff that he does every single time he comes in. And there's a reason why he's called Rumpus, because he comes in and he causes a rumpus as soon as he walks in. I mean, do you mute the Hangout? Because I hear you talking and it seems like you're not being put off by the stuff that he's saying to us lot or to you. I think he's trying to speak to you, but can you actually hear him talking?
No, so as soon as I start talking, if he just carries on, I just shut him up, because I know what his score is. I mean, Anthony's described it as the rumpus button, because on the whole, there's no need to use it. That's why, between Bob and I, when I'm chatting with Bob, yeah, he's a bit of a rumpus, but he's pales in comparison to the rumpus, so there's no need to cut the sound to the Hangout, because, we are talking over each other, but that it's just a heated conversation, and we are interrupting each other at some stage. Whereas Rumpus, what his MO is just to come in and talk non-stop, literally 100% of the time.
Yeah, and that's what he does. So when you were talking to the audience, for instance, we didn't hear a bloody thing you said, because he was. This is the God's honest truth. What he was doing. I'm trying to answer it, Nathan. 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 That's all he was saying.
Yeah.
The entire time when you were talking, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that's what he does. And then he claims I'm censoring him. It's like, no, what I'm doing is I'm stopping the audience from hearing, I'm trying to answer you, Nathan. I'm trying to answer 50 times over the top of what I'm trying to point out. In this case, that he's got a straw man argument with the gas pressure gradient. Now, we've covered this several times. It's an easy argument to demolish. But he wants to have that argument and just wants that point to be dragged out over the course of an hour while he pisses everybody on the panel off and talks non-stop. It's like, well, to be honest, we know your tactic. You've been on the show. You're not exactly, we're not exactly crying out for you to come on unless you're going to present something that we gave you a concession for about 6 months ago, that you could actually reify a model to come on and beg the question, a Schumacher, and present it with a model. Well, he's not done that. He's come on to talk about gas pressure gradients. So at that point, it's like, why am I losing my temper? Just kick him out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, yesterday, you had that scientist that came on, and he said to you about the top of Mount Everest versus sea level. So top of Mount Everest, you've got, the pressure up there is only 90%, or is 90% less than it is at sea level. He said that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, if that's the case then, and obviously if you're on the moon, in their model, you have virtually no pressure, right? So you can bounce around on the moon and you can jump, 10 feet high, you know? So if that's the case, why, when at your top of Mount Everest, why the hell aren't they semi-floating? Why aren't they able to hop and skip up to the top of the mountain?
Right. Well, because their relative density doesn't change.
Relative density doesn't change on the moon.
Well, yeah, it would, because you've got considerably less. I see what you're saying. So you're saying if there's 10% less air density at the top by Everest, aren't you slipping through less air? In other words, the air's providing less resistance. Well, the fact is that even at the maximum air density, you're still far more dense than it. So is it going to make the scrap of difference going up to less density? It's kind of like when they say, if I've got a drone and I'm flying high in the sky, when the drone fails, why doesn't it float up into the less dense air? You're like, well, because it's denser than all of the air. Even the less dense air that's below it, it's more dense than that. So relatively, from the start position in the air, it's going to go, if you were to stay there, down.
Yeah, it's like, I mentioned this to you yesterday. If you had somebody, you're looking at somebody holding two objects. One's a brick and one's a helium balloon. And he lets go of both, right? So one's going in one direction and the other's going in a different. It's relative to themselves. So from your perspective, you're seeing those objects go in different directions. And the only force acting on them is what?
Well, it's their own momentum, right?
Yeah, it's their own momentum. And where are they going? Is it gravity? Which way's up, which way's down? Ask the helium balloon which way's up or which way's down. Is the balloon going down or is the balloon going up?
Yeah. I still like my example better. We did this conversation yesterday, didn't we? So my example is, if you've got a plane travelling at a fixed altitude and you are on a balloon, a helium balloon with a basket, and you're rapidly ascending and you get into the area of clouds or whatever is at that altitude and you can't see the ground anymore because there's clouds. You know you're ascending because you can feel it, but you look up and see a plane above you, and as you continue to rise you see that plane going down below you. So it's gone from above to below. Well, there's only one way to describe the direction that plane's going: down. Well, if you're on the plane, you're maintaining a fixed altitude. You're actually going level, but relative to your start position, you can then quantify it. That's where you had a problem with the scientist, because he wants to fix down relative to air density in air. That's essentially what they're doing. It's easy to defeat when you just say, like you have, well, what about a helium balloon? Oh, well, no, well, that's all the rest of the air around it being pulled down with the force of gravity I've just described. Like, right, so it's displacing it. So that's a relative density argument.
Mm.
Anyway.
And, I mean, they still don't get it, that there is no, in their model, there is no barrier around the Earth. And all the clouds and all the atmosphere and everything like that, all this pressure that we have, that we live in, something is acting on that, contain it.
Which do you think they'll sacrifice? Because they've got to. Because at some point they'll have to, if they're going to keep the narrative right. They've either got to do the Spaceballs explanation, which is you've got a great big glass dome all the way around the sphere with a hatch you can open for Megamaid to suck all the air out. In other words, they give it a barrier so that it's not a second law of thermodynamics violation. Like, in other words, they do the tact that Kosho took, and when they do that, they're basically saying we do have a barrier for the gas pressure to press upon, and it's a closed system. So energy can still enter the system from the sun, but matter can't escape. Well, if they do, like Kosho did, he just got battered, because it's like, well, how are you going to the moon? How are you putting satellites out into space? How are you travelling to Mars? You're not, if it's a closed system, because matter's not escaping. So they've got two ways to jump. Both are pretty bad. If they jump the one way and avoid the second law of thermodynamics violation, I mean, it seems like they've already made this decision. They've just said, sod it. Let's just hope people don't understand what the second law of thermodynamics is. Hope they don't realise that the gas would fill the space. even given the full pseudo force of gravity. You can have both. You know, I'll start saying that to them. You can have both. Have Newton Cavendish gravity and the bending of space-time in full force. You can have both of them. Right? Forget that it's a contradiction. You can have both in full force in your demonstration, which is the bit that Rumpus and I had our arguments, because basically he wants to describe it and I want him to demonstrate it. And if you're going to demonstrate it, yeah, you can have your bollocks forces that don't exist, because what fucking good are they going to do you when you start putting together an experiment to demonstrate this pseudo force causing the effect of whatever you claim it's claiming at that particular moment? In this instance, maintaining gas pressure without a container. Oh, right. So, yeah, you describe till the till the cows come home about this force. You give us all the word salad you can about it. But when it comes to it actually being useful to demonstrate something, like gas pressure without a container, well, we say you can have it. Have your force, have gravity. Now give us your gas pressure without a container. Oh, well, I still can't demonstrate it. It's like, yeah, because the force that you've claimed isn't real. It only works in a description. So when I say, yeah, have it, what use is that if it's total nonsense when you're trying to put together an explanation by way of demonstration? It's not useful in the slightest because it's just a fictional force. They've just made it up. So where they're going to slip that into their experiments? Well, you can't. It doesn't exist. You don't need to isolate it either. It's just not real. Otherwise, you'd have it, right?
Nothing exists. Nothing exists. They have no scientific proof for anything, and I don't think that the globe has realised this until you actually nail it down in black and white for them and say, "Go and find the scientific proof." You know,
or they
then when they try to provide something for you, you say that isn't scientific proof. You know, it was the scientist had trouble yesterday understanding. You know, he asked you over and over, "What do you want from me? What do you want?" And you said, "Well, let me say it slowly for you. I want scientific proof of gas pressure being contained without a container. That's it. You're a scientist. You can provide that." He couldn't do it.
Yeah, none of them will, and they get bored when they have their fallacies pointed out, because up until that point, they had an explanation in their mind. It caused an effect. They gave it. It seemed like a perfectly sound logical syllogism, until I say, no, it's actually fallacious reasoning, and here's why. And then I go through it 5 times with them going round in circles, repeating the fallacy again. Because in their mind, they've been told that's the proof.
Yeah. They say well, he's saying, oh, gravity holds it in. Okay, right, well, prove gravity. Oh, right, okay, we can't prove gravity. Well, Earth's a sphere. Well, can you prove the R value then? Where's the R value? Prove radius. Well, you know, well, we have a molten iron core. Prove it. You know, prove it. Have you been down there? Have you had a look at it? Have you been down and had a little look? Have you been outside to the moon and had a little look at the Earth from the moon? You know, when you actually break it down for them, they have to realise they have nothing.
But they'll assert like they do have something because they're being told by the priests that they have the bit we want from them. So, for instance, when, you know, I can shut down their religious fundy beliefs pretty sharpish when they say something along the lines of, well, we do have gas pressure next to a vacuum because of the atmosphere. I just have to open my window and I can see that I've got gas pressure. So therefore, my religious belief in the vacuum of space is true. You're like, no, that's your fundamentalist belief in the bit I'm trying to get you to evidence and prove. So they literally use their fundy belief as the proof of their fundy belief. It's a bloody outrage. Half the time, they don't even realise they're doing it. I mean, that's when it gets comical. And they don't even realise that they're using their own fundy belief to prove their own fundy belief.
Well, gravity is supposed to be one of their weakest forces, right?
Yeah.
Gravity is supposed to be one of their weakest forces. Yet the moon's gravitational pull in their model can pull the entire ocean, suck it up and move it around and swirl it around and cause tides, yeah?
No,
so
no. Weakest... Sorry, Ranty.
No, let me just finish what I was
just
saying.
one small correction, because Rumper said that you can't lift the water level. That's not possible.
All right, okay. All right, well, for whatever reason, the tides are being pulled around, the water's being pulled around by the very weak force of gravity from the moon, which is in where? In a vacuum. and the vacuum has more strength than gravity, right? But yet
Absolutely.
the gravitational, the suction or the pressure from the vacuum of space isn't strong enough to pull those very light particles at the top of the pressure gradient.
It's the other way around. So the pressure of the gradient itself. So if you have a gradient of pressure, that is at the top is still a particle with energy. So that's what creates pressure, the force exerted on the walls of the container, a psi value. So if you've got a psi value, it means you've got a molecule with energy smashing itself against the container and then redirecting itself back in. Now, if there is no container to smash against the side of, it just keeps going into the lower energy system that's next to it, i.e. the container. So it will fill the space it's given to fill. Well, in their world, they've got a never-ending space, a never-ending potential for those energy charged particles to go into. In other words, they're not being restricted and coming back. They're not bouncing off a dome and coming back in their narrative. They're going out and carrying on, and nothing's stopping them from carrying on indefinitely. And what would happen to all of the gas that we have if there was nothing to stop it going into a much lower energy system? So it's not that the vacuum's sucking, it's more that the pressure of the gas is trying to push out, and if nothing stops it, off it goes. I think Ranty's probably had a phone call. I'll check he hasn't just ignored it. If he hasn't, I'll round out this after show. Take it from that silence that he has actually taken that phone call. So with that, I'll say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the audience watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, and of course a massive thank you to Ratty Flat Earth for making this after show possible. If you are wanting to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth debate forum there. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!